For more, let's bring in our political panel. Today we have Democratic strategist Jonathan Harris, as well as Angie Wong, executive committee woman for the Miami-Dade Republican Party. Thank you both for being here. Angie, let's start with you. Following up on that piece with Todd Lyons, the acting ICE director, we heard him talk about the arrests being made across the country. So far in this Trump administration's second term, how would you grade the performance of immigration officers in carrying out the orders of President Trump? And then on top of that, how do you make sense of the ongoing conflicts and anger that we're seeing from the people across this country in response to it?
Yeah, I think Tom Homan and his team are doing a fantastic job. Remember, President Trump's first hire when he learned that he was going to be the next president of the United States was Tom Homan. And, you know, he's doing an amazing feat. We let in millions of illegal migrants into this country over the last couple of years under the Biden administration. So it's really, really difficult to find everybody, especially the missing children. It is a monumental task, and he's doing a fantastic job. In regards to cities pushing back on federal law enforcement operations, this is really terrible to see. Ultimately, we're going to have federal supremacy because this is a federal operation. So I don't understand how these local leaders, governors, mayors are able to push back on such an operation that is outside their jurisdiction. Unfortunately, each and every time they push back, we have to run to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, to ask for guidance once and for all. In the case of Chicago, we expect to receive that.
Jonathan, I want to quickly show you this video that our own Jorge Ventura just captured moments ago. It's tear gas deployment outside of Portland. And the reason I'm showing you this is to follow up on the question I just asked Angie, which is the anger that we're seeing all across the country when it comes to immigration enforcement and targeting these buildings. Why do you think it's caused such a reaction? And also, is there justification to what President Trump wants to do, given the fact that there are undocumented immigrants all across the country, some of them being the worst of the worst in DHS's own terms, that they are going after?
Well, I mean, I think what you have to do as a logical person, as an intelligent person, right, is look at the scale of things, the proportion of things. Is the response proportionate? Are there people in this country that are undocumented? Of course. Have there always been? Yes. This is nothing new. There's no administration, not Donald Trump, not President Biden, not Barack Obama, nobody that can claim to have resolved this issue. Reagan gave out amnesty, and he was the Republican messiah before Donald Trump. So this is an ongoing issue. But I think when you're walking outside and you're seeing children put in zip ties, as in the case of Chicago, and people being thrown to the ground, elderly people, you have to understand that logically and intelligently, this is not only immoral and more than likely illegal, but it's just a completely disproportionate response to the problem, which is, are there people in this country that are undocumented? Yes, but this is ridiculous, and I think you see it reflected in Donald Trump's horrific polling numbers. I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of people today out rallying around the country just to say, we don't support what you're doing. His disapproval is at, I think, somewhere around 60%, record low, 34%, I think 35, 34% with Gallup record low approval rating. So he has a very particular niche of support, but the overall majority of this country simply don't want to walk outside and have to worry about whether a friend or a family member is going to get thrown to the ground by masked agents. I mean, it's kind of dystopian.
I originally intended to ask this question to Jonathan, but I'm actually going to throw it at Angie. Right now, we heard Director Lyons using the word collaterals when talking about the people that are arrested besides the ones that they are targeting. We also have this new report from ProPublica, which found that more than 170 American citizens have been held by immigration agents since the start of President Trump's second term. I wonder, because a lot of the anger that I'm hearing from the demonstrators that I speak to is, the law-abiding immigrants here, that not the worst of the worst that are getting picked up. So, Angie, is there a way that immigration can still be enforced and avoid some of these collateral arrests that are really causing a lot of this sparked outrage?
Yeah, it was never going to be clean, right? You were looking at over 10 million illegals here in this country that Tom Homan has to now go and clean up. So you're always going to have some sort of collateral. If only local law enforcement had their hands untied by the local leadership to help our federal law enforcement, to help ICE and DHS, that would be amazing because they have the local knowledge of who is actually an American, who is a citizen. But unfortunately, as we see time and time time again in Chicago and Portland and other cities, local law enforcement, PDs, they're told to stand down and not help federal law enforcement. So it just, this is just a matter of
Shouldn't they
time
be
that they
protecting
sort
their
this out.
communities?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I mean, just shouldn't these, I mean, local law enforcement, the entire idea behind policing is that your law enforcement is local and their job is to protect their community. So if you have federal agents, and I never thought I would live to see the day, I've loved how Donald Trump has made the Republican Party abandon so many of their values. Republicans were always pro states' rights, and now you have them advocating for literally the authority of the federal government to come in and do what they were saying my entire life up to recently they were afraid of,
Right.
which is the power and force of the federal government. But that's what local police are supposed to do. They're supposed to defend their local communities. So maybe that's what they should be doing when federal masked agents are throwing elderly people to the ground and putting them, handcuffing them without even giving them their due process in some cases.
Okay, fair point, Jonathan. I want to get one last question to the both of you. It's something that came across my desk today. It's a post from Vice President J.D. Vance showing New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani posing with a well-known local imam, a man the vice president claims is a, quote, unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. So my question first to Jonathan, then to Angie. Jonathan, should Americans, and especially these New York voters out there that are considering this mayoral race, should they be worried about some of the endorsements that Mamdani is proudly displaying?
No, and a good indication of that is that it's J.D. Vance that's saying it. I think I've heard 20 lectures from J.D. Vance this week about absolute nonsense. This is the person who introduced you to they're eating the cats and the dogs. And then when he was confronted about lying, said he didn't really care that he was lying because it was a means to a political end. And that's what this post is. It's just more nonsense from J.D. Vance, who is, for some ungodly reason, very impressed with himself and what he has to say.
Okay, Angie, a quick response,
as far
please.
as this should be taken.
Yeah, this is terrible timing. You have 3 weeks left to the mayoral race, and then you pose smiling, hanging out with an unindicted co-conspirator from the 1993 World Trade Center bombing in New York City. This is a terrible look. I don't know whose political director is, but if this is what they want to post, I don't mind that J.D. Vance is going after. We should be pushing back on images like this. These are type of images that makes me think that Zohran Mamdani endorses this type of behavior, that endorses terrorism. This is terrible.
Okay.
I think that he should actually retract it.
Yeah, we got to end it
There's a
there.
criminal in
For
the White
fairness'
House,
sake, the federal prosecutors have said that the list that imam was listed on is overly broad. Do have to point that out. That's our political panel for this 7 p.m. hour Central Time. Jonathan Harris, Angie Wong, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, from military bombers.